in general, especially at the beginning, deaf people hated the idea of a cochlear implant because they do not feel, and I think to some degree I agree with them, that deafness is a disability. They feel that what it is it's a culture. I mean, obviously they can't hear. That's a disability. But the true disability comes from the fact that communication barrier. And so to them, they see the cochlear implant as just another imperialist, now a robotic mechanism to make them hearing again.
But wouldn't that be counterbalanced by the ability to absorb art?
You can hear music? Like music?
Yeah. How do they hear it? Do they hear it the way a normal person hears it?
Well, I can tell you in section 2 of the book, my rave years, what kind of music the deaf like more than any other in my experience is
Raves?
Definitely slam and techno.
Really?
Because it's a really simple form to be able to experience and feel is just that boom, boom, boom of techno or house. They love that.
One of the best pool players in the world is deaf, and he shuts his hearing aid off when he plays. I
can totally see that. Because you're like hyper focused, you're like all the way in.
Yeah,
I can completely see that.
He shuts it off, and he just doesn't miss.
I mean, my mother is still deaf. If you met her, you would be like, there would be no part of you that was like, this person isn't deaf. She sounds deaf, and she is, and she signs, but she wanted, to experience.
But she can hear.
True. So when you're old, and your brain has set its neural pathways to such a degree that it does not process sound and never has. The cochlear implant, apparently, there's no way to reignite an atrophied pathway into a normal hearing system, right? By the way, the cochlear implant, I don't know, I've never had one, obviously. It sounds robotic. It never sounds like...
Which is why they like techno.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's simple to, it's not like listening to country roads.
Oh, I thought you meant because it connects, it's like a robot music.
It's easy to follow.
But I don't even mean people with cochlear implants. Deaf people in general, they love raves because, it's easy to follow. You can dance to it.
Right.
You don't have to follow some symphonic kind of like path or whatever.
When they're totally deaf, do they feel techno?
Definitely.
Yeah. So where do they feel it? Their feet?
I would say probably their genitals mostly.
Really?
No, I don't know. Their whole body. I mean, you've been to a rave, haven't you?
No.
You never have?
No. I wonder if your genitals really do feel it if you couldn't hear.
If bass is deep enough, you can definitely feel it in your genitals. That is true.
So you'd be just kind of barely moving.
When I was a big raver and I became eventually like a rave promoter and a DJ, I was a DJ at raves through the 90s and an ecstasy dealer, but that's another story. I started when I was about 16. I bought my first set of turntables and a mixer, and I was terrible, obviously, like everybody starting out, but you can't play in your headphones DJing, really. You have to like have it be amplified. And I had a very lucky break in having deaf parents because I would just set everything all the way to the max, and my mom would be like happily studying in the other room, and I would just be like train wrecking techno beats.
That's hilarious. How'd your neighbors feel about that?
I didn't have neighbors. I lived next door to a terrible bar, so I could have given a fuck.
Oh, that's lucky.
I grew up next to like a real white trash kind of like wannabe gangster bar. That was, I would say, the energy. Yeah, really rough. Ooh. They'd be like showing off their like sound system and their like Cutlass Supreme.
Oh,
that was the energy.
Oh,
pissing on my front door and shit like that.
Oh my God. Wow.
Oh, is this a deaf raver?
Deaf rave.
I'm telling you, I'm not making this up.
I don't think that's the real music.
But
yeah.
That's this company, the group called Deaf Rave. They host raves for deaf people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The house music and techno music really is actually music that's made for your body rather than your mind, and it's made to move to. And so I think for the deaf community, this is like, it is the perfect form. And these guys are all deaf. That's so cool.
Yeah, you would definitely feel the bass for sure. I mean, there's headphones you can get that transduce sound through your jaw instead of going through your ear.
Whoa.
But they have to still be able to understand what
that's really fascinating.
What the frequencies are.
Speaking of weird surgeries, when my mom got the cochlear implant, it decimated her balance. She has not been the same since. She's super wobbly because they took out her inner ear and they put in a robotic cochlea instead. And her inner ear and she wanted to get the other one done, and we had to do like a cochlear implant intervention. We go, Mom, no. You're going to be in a wheelchair if you do that. Like, don't do that.
It just wrecks your equilibrium.
Wrecked hers. A lot of people with cochlear implants are doing fine. But she, for some reason, I wish... I mean, I love my mom, and who am I to say that that it wasn't worth it? She says it's worth it to her, and it's not my business. She wanted to experience in the last quarter of her life, like the sensation of sound, and I think like I get that when you've never experienced something, like why you wouldn't walk through that door. To me, I wish she'd never gotten it, because now she's like this wobbly older lady, and it like scares the shit out of me.
Is there a way to correct it? The wobbly thing? No,
they take it out. I mean, they
once they do it, that's it. There's
they literally remove your cochlea and put a robot cochlea in instead. So there's it's irreversible. She can't do an MRI either.
Oh boy,
yeah,
that sucks.
She can't like do a lot of things because it a piece of machinery will clunk out of her brain,
rip out of her fucking head, right?
But yeah, I think that the deaf community is
Neuralink, bro.
I wonder how that would work with deaf people.
I'm sure
the new product is called telepathy. Let a person control a phone or computer just by thinking.
Well, I heard about.
So what if you think in ASL, then you're not thinking in English?
I thought the first ones were going to be for people that were injured.
To get them out of
but I guess
paralysis or something.
That is someone. But if you were injured, and like Stephen Hawking's,
right?
That would have been perfect for him,
right? But what would it do?
You would be able to do everything on a computer.
It would no longer be robot voice.
Right. You could type. You could do everything.
Right.
You could, it says that you could talk faster. He said that you could talk faster than an auctioneer.
With Neuralink.
With Neuralink.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How fast can you say, get me to Epstein's Island?
Ah!
How quickly?